Hi there, I'm Ben Clements and I am the host of new fashion podcast, Fashion Fiesta. I'm joined here with editor of a new magazine, London Lookbook, Alfie Pope. How are you doing, Alfie?
I'm good, thank you, Ben. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I just wanted to dive in here and just talk a little bit about London Lookbook. So, in terms of the most recent front cover, I mean, how is it meeting the conventions of the magazine?
Well, I think I successfully met the conventions. I mean, I was really trying to represent young men in like a powerful way. I feel like nowadays with fashion, men are stereotyped to not really have an interest in it, and men admitting to having an interest in fashion, they don't really want to admit to it because it really goes against, gender norms nowadays. And fashion interested men, it's a dying breed, and I really want to get it back out there, especially in the youth, because it's the future of fashion, and I think London Lookbook is really a good representation for young men.
Oh wow, a lot of really great points there in terms of how men are approaching fashion these days. Specifically on the front cover though, what conventions have you included and how have how's it linking to the men's fashion genre?
Okay, so my masthead, I wanted to give it. I was inspired by GQ and Vogue. I wanted to give it a sort of a serif, stylish. I was always inspired by GQ because I liked how they made their men's magazines very stylish and very clean. So I gave my magazine a nice logo inspired by GQ in a serif font. And then going down from the masthead, I included in my cover line some interesting points about men's fashion. Stuff about, do you have to buy expensive brands? Can you keep it cheap nowadays? Stuff about vintage clothing. Is it worth investing in vintage clothing? Some fashion trends, if they're coming back on the rise. Stuff like denim, stuff like leopard prints, really out there trends that might be coming back in the men's fashion game. So yeah, I was trying to meet the conventions and make them as relatable and interesting as possible to men's fashion.
Excellent response there, Alfie. I just want to kind of know, basically the same question there for the double page spread. How is it meeting the conventions?
Well, for my double page spread, I really wanted to make articles that sort of people, young men especially, would sort of relate to the stories as much as they would be interesting. So I got three models, and I tried to get them from some different areas of the world. So one of my models is from Australia, one of my models is from Spain, and one of my models is from here in London. So I wanted to get fashion stories from all around the world as opposed to just London. I know I'm a London-based magazine, but I wanted to really reach out to that global audience. And,
yeah, showing the diversity of London as well.
Yeah, exactly. And sorry. Yeah, I wanted to make the articles interesting. I did a Q&A with one of my models, and I wanted their responses. I wanted them to sort of relate to an audience, make it as interesting for my audience as possible, basically. So yeah, I used a lot of different images of different models to really show the diversity of fashion and how many different ways it can go. I did a lot of subheadings in my double page spread to break it up and give it different questions, focus the articles on other things, not keep it just one long monologue. I wanted to break it up down, made a sidebar of a Q&A where I got one of my models to respond to just quick fire questions, just a few of them, and show his interest in fashion with those questions. And
that's a nice feature. I think it really kept me engaged with the article as well by having that sidebar there. Amazing, really good stuff there, Alfie. I just want to talk a little bit about the contents page. So again, kind of same question, like how is it meeting the conventions of a contents page and also a men's fashion magazine as well?
Yeah, well, I wanted to make the model of my contents page stand out, so I tried to make them as prominent as possible. I kept my articles, I kept my articles and pages in chronological order, and I had a range of different articles so they could reach out to any fashion interested person. So if someone wasn't into something, say on page 40, they would be into something on page 80. They would still pick up the magazine and buy it. and I was really trying to go for that large reach, make it interesting with the model there, really tried to make them stand out. And yeah, I think with my contents page, it was something that spent a lot of time on, but I think it went very well.
Amazing, Alfie. Sorry, I know you've already kind of touched on this a little bit in this interview, but I've got to ask, what social group were you representing within your magazine?
So it was. I was really focusing on a young men, sort of demographic. I wanted to make it as like, I really wanted to make it youth interested, because I don't see a lot of fashion youth magazines. I mean, I mostly see, old people fashion, but I really wanted to give the youth a go, and so I was going for a young male audience, and I think I achieved that well, that goal of that.
Almost kind of like a teen Vogue for a male audience. That
Yeah.
sounds great. I mean, in terms of like specifically how you represented men on your, say for instance, your front cover, can you just talk me through that a little bit?
So yeah, I wanted to represent my model in a more like relatable way to the audience. So I took them out of the studio, I brought them onto the streets of London, because most of my readers would have had that city experience. So I wanted to make it more real for the audience, and I really tried to get my photos in a sort of public area.
So one final point, Alfie, how is your model showing his masculinity?
So my model, I made sure to have a metrosexual sort of man that cares about their masculinity, but not in a sort of orthodox way. They care more about the way they present themselves. They're well groomed. They dress nicely, and that's how they present their masculinity. So I sort of wanted to get that for my cover model. That sort of David Beckham type of man, that more stylish than the average man, that sort of doesn't really mind about what they wear, and that's not a problem. But these people that show their masculinity in separate ways, I find it very interesting, and it definitely relates to fashion a lot. So I tried to get that for my front cover model.
Oh, I absolutely agree. Yeah, so kind of stepping away from that kind of like hyper masculine stereotype and more kind of a metrosexual look. Oh, fantastic, Alfie. Well, that's all the questions I have for you. I'm afraid I've got to let you go. So I've been Ben Clements with Fashion Fiesta, and this has been Alfie Pope for London Lookbook, and thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much.